So hi, I'm Patrick Chenezon. I'm a developer advocate with Google. And today in this tech talk, we have Vincent Massol and Ludovic Dubost, who are coming to talk about XWiki, an open source wiki in Java and Groovy that they have built.
Okay, so I'm Ludovic Dubost, and Vincent is here with me. So I'm the CEO of XWiki. Vincent is the CTO. And we're going to present you XWiki, an open source wiki. So quickly, presentation of the company. XWiki was created in 2004, both as an open source project and as a company. First version of XWiki came out in February 2004. The focus of XWiki is to build large-scale structured wiki. So what is exactly a structured wiki? We'll see a little later. Just quickly, it is not only managing content, but it's also managing structured data and also external data coming from outside applications. So I'm Ludovic, I'm the CEO. I used to work at Netscape from 96 to 98, where I worked a lot on collaboration and publishing of information. I used to work with document management system. And then I worked in a French startup, NetValue, which was in 2002 acquired by Nielsen NetRatings, which is the leader of internet measurement using various methods, and especially panel-based measurement. And in this company, we used a lot of Java technology, but we also needed to work on our collaborative tools. And this is where, in 2000, we discovered the wiki as a concept to share information. And it replaced our document management system with a great success. And this is how I was introduced to wikis. Following that, I wanted to work on wiki and open source, and building XWiki to introduce more advanced features on top of a standard wiki was the objective. Vincent, our CTO, has joined XWiki a year ago, and is a long-time open source committer. He's an Apache PMC. He has the open source project Cactus, Cargo, worked on a few books on JUnit and Maven. He is a Maven committer, and he has joined XWiki to take in charge the evolution of the open source platform. We're a distributed development team, about 20 people now, in 5 countries. We have contributors working on various extensions of XWiki. We've been participating in the Google Summer of Code, thank you Google, for 3 years. And we have had a few projects, and actually 2 of them are part of our demonstration from this year. XWiki has about 15 releases in 3 years. It's now in version 1.1. It's been in production with our beta version for about the mid-2004. Our distribution model is various first open source LGPL license, giving strong freedom to users to actually use it and package it in their own systems and extend it. But we also distribute as packaged software with subscription services, and as a hosted services and service and software as a service offering. XWiki has more than 5,000 active wikis out there in companies on our hosted services, and that we host ourselves. And we currently have about 100 enterprise customers, including very big ones. We have Total in France, which is one of the top 5 companies in the world when you look at market cap. We have users like Air France, very, very big companies, including tech companies. Mondriva, a Linux company, is also using XWiki for their community. So this will stop the slideware, and we will focus on demoing the different solutions. So Vincent is going to demo the wiki and what a structured wiki is, and how you can develop application with this structured wiki. And then I will show additional applications, and until showing how far you can go actually with building applications and not even realizing that you have a wiki under it. Vincent, yours.
Okay, hi everyone. So are you all wiki users? Yeah, are you familiar with wikis? Yeah, anyone familiar with JotSpot here? Yes? Okay, so XWiki is an advanced wiki, same as JotSpot, an application, what we call an application wiki. So what we're going to do in the demo is we're going to start slowly with a first generation wiki, but we'll go quite quickly over that because you're probably all familiar with that. And then we'll quickly go into the coding capability of XWiki and how we build small application with it. And then we'll show extensions of XWiki and advanced applications that are complete full-fledged applications. So first, in terms of default wiki, so I have on my machine here a local version of XWiki. I'm running the same content as on the xwiki.org website, which is our community website for open source development. And we're going to look at the features here and see what we can do with XWiki. So let's start slowly. Page editing, that's a typical feature. I'm just going to show you maybe some different things that we do. So that's a typical page which we can edit. For example, we can edit in Wysiwyg mode, so we have a wiki mode and a Wysiwyg mode. In Wysiwyg mode, we have normal editing as you may find in other wikis. An interesting thing that we've noticed is that it's usually quite hard to create links in wikis. So, for example, you don't know to what you want to link to exactly, so you may have forgotten the name of the page. So we've got a wizard for doing this, for example. So if I highlight a keyword and then I click on the link keyword, then you see I have a dialog box where I can create links to wiki pages, to web links, file attachments, and so on. And in here, I can browse, choose by space. I can do a search if I want to find a page. I have the recently viewed pages, the recently modified pages. So it's very easy to actually create a link to any place. And see, we have the links here. Okay, so that's typical editing. Nothing fancy here. Let's go back to the features. So we can do lots of other typical things like copy, rename documents. So that will rename all the backlinks leading to the page that you're renaming. We have version control, of course, so versioning all the pages, including versioning attachments. We have a powerful rights management where you can actually set rights at the page level, at the space level, and also at the wiki level. And we have about 5 rights, the rights to view, to edit, to delete, and a special rights for programming, because you can put programs in scripts in pages. So we have a right to restrict this, since we can do dangerous things. I have an issue here, is that it's not responding. I don't know why. Okay, good. Okay, one interesting feature that I wanted to show you is the ability to skin XWiki. And so an XWiki skin is actually it's a full replacement of everything you see. So you're actually able to modify everything you see on the screen. I'm going to show you some example to how far we can go. In most wikis, you are able to do some skinning, but usually you are quite limited in exactly what you can change. Here, you can change the whole UI. Actually, the whole UI is itself based on an XWiki core, which provides an API, and the full UI is based only on that API, and it's all located in pages, in documents. So you have the ability to edit the documents and modify completely the layout of a full wiki. So we have some users who've done all sorts of customization on wikis. So for example, this is a wiki used as a merchant website. So this one's called Best Vente. It's aggregating data, sales data from different vendors such as Amazon, Kelku, and others, and displaying them here. So you see that doesn't look anymore like a wiki actually. If you didn't know that it was a wiki, you wouldn't guess. But for the person managing this website, they can go in once they log in, then they've got the ability to the same easiness of modifying data and adding new stuff to the wiki, and including doing this collaboratively. Yes?
Sorry, are they using it only as an internal CMS to manage their site?
No, that's a public website.
But do they expose some wiki features to their users as well?
In this example, they're doing maybe with some favorite or this kind of things.
Comments, voting, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Very good.
And we have other example just to show you the skinning feature. So this one, it's an e-learning website called curiki.org. And it's again, the layout is completely different. I can just show you. And we have a few others, and we're going to show you a few other applications afterward showing this feature. So let's go back. So now, this is what we call first generation wiki. I have some issue on this page; doesn't load completely well. I don't know why. So now let's. I think the next step is to go to the second level, which is the programming part, and see how we can customize further a wiki with XWiki. So in terms of development features, what we call advanced features. So we've got the ability to put script in pages, and we are supporting two script languages. One is Velocity, and the other one is Groovy. And I'm going to demonstrate that on a very simple example. Actually, this website that you're looking at has a lot of Velocity scripts in it to perform various kind of small applications. So for example, we have what we call a code zone here on this website that lists contribution from external contributors about code snippets, which are portions of code that can be put in pages in script. We've got macros, we've got plugins, applications. We'll describe this concept of applications a little bit after. And I'm just going to show you something. For example, this page here lists all the code snippets that you can find on this wiki. And it is dynamically generated. It's not, if I'm going to edit this page, and you'll see that there is not hard-coded. We're actually using the XWiki API to perform some search on documents and then aggregate that data on a page. So if I edit in wiki mode, I'm going to, well, I don't see that. Yeah. If you, oh, is it too small here? Can you read that? So you see we're starting with some wiki syntax here. This is a title and then some text, and this is where it becomes interesting. So this is Velocity. So we're doing a query here. So this is using HQL, Hibernate Query Language, as the syntax. And what we're doing is we're looking for all documents which have an object of type snippet class attached. Okay, and then we are calling this API search document on this query. And then for, if there are some elements, then for each of them, we're displaying as a list. Okay, so this is completely generic. And here, this is just one example, but you've got access to the full API. So you can do things like list me the links of that page, the backlinks of that page, any document that have been created by such person at that time matching this keyword, or whatever you want. You can dynamically create new pages in scripting. You can access to the macros directly for getting RSS feeds, for example, or whatever you want. You have a full access to the full API here. And so this is in Velocity. You can have the same in Groovy. So I mentioned some object attached to a page. So this is a powerful feature of XWiki, is we have the ability to attach metadata to documents. Normally a document typically is just some text, possibly with some attachments. In XWiki, you have the possibility of adding objects, and I'm going to show that to you in a moment. And an object can be just anything. It can be, for example, it can be a tag. You know, if you want to tag a page, then it's a tag object that you can attach to a page. This is how we deal with rights also. If you want to set rights at the page level, that will be a rights object attached to a page. In our example of snippets, we had a snippet object attached to a page. So this adds metadata to page and to the pages. And then we have, with the API, we can query those metadata to display them inside when the page is rendered. So for example, you know, a snippet that I was showing to you before, it's actually, so this is a snippet. And if I look at the content in wiki mode of this page, you'll see that what we're doing here is we're just including another page. And this other page, what's called snippet class sheet, is a page that is generic and that knows how to render any document that has a snippet attached to it. So in that way, we're able to create structured data by creating a snippet class, which has some properties. I'm going to show that to you just now. And then we're using that in different places so that people can actually enter structured data and be displayed as structured data. For example, if I go to that snippet class and I edit it, so what I'm editing here, is actually, you see it's a form here, and it's not the standard wiki. It's because automatically XWiki has detected that this page had an object attached to it. So it's showing us into the object editor, the form editor, sorry, directly, so we can edit the content of the form. So this feature allows us to create a lot of mini applications in the wiki. So before I show you other applications, I want to show you how to define a snippet class, for example. And we have a class editor allowing you to easily create new classes in the wiki. So in our case, it's the I can't read. It's the snippet class. So you remember when I edited that page, there were different fields. And so we're finding the fields here. There was an explanation field, and this is the definition of it. You see, we have it's a text area, 75 characters by 5 lines. When I edit it, I was editing it in text mode because it says text here. I could have rendered it with a Wysiwyg editor. And then there are all the other properties. There was language, code, results, and so on. And it's easy to add properties. You know, I can just type a property here. And we have different property types. So we can add a number, can add a string, text area, list, dynamic list coming from database. So you've got the possibility of creating structured data about almost every type of data. And so you create this, so a snippet class like this, it's just a simple page, but you've edited it with the class editor. And by doing this, XWiki knows it's a special page that has a class inside. And then when you go into any other page, you just attach an instance of this class to your page. And just instantly, and you got the ability for users, when they edit the page, to enter data following the model here. Yes, Patrick?
Vincent, can there be several classes associated to a page?
No, a class is for on one.
Okay.
So a document can have only one class. However, when you're using the class, an instance of that class in the document, then you can have several objects of that same class if you want.
For example, the comment is an object, so you can have as many comments as you want on a page.
But if a page is associated to, for example, a good snippet, how would our comments and each of them
it can have a snippet object, and it can have comments object, And it can have rights object, it can have any object. As many as you want.
So you can have several classes associated to your page.
Yeah, but what Vincent meant was a document can have only one class. It's for the definition part. When you want to define, it's unique in terms of definition. But yes, the document can have as many classes associated with it, and we call that having as many objects as you want of any class type.
Okay. But you have a main one that you use for rendering.
Well, that's the include that is in the content field that will decide how you render it. You can actually do a sheet that will render multiple classes in the same view.
Yeah. So now I'm going to show you some other example of small applications that we have in this wiki. So for example, if I go to the news area, you see here I have a blog, and the blog is actually a small application built exactly in the same manner as the snippet that I was showing earlier. It's not hardwired into the XWiki core. Actually, the XWiki core has just the API, and everything that you see, all the applications like the blog, the photo album, even the search, or the creation of RSS feeds, all of these are actually just pages that are using the API. So for example, in this blog, if I look at this blog entry here, it's and if I edit it, you will see that it has actually an object attached to it, a blog, what we call an article object attached to it, and which has some title, category, content, and some extract. And if I look at the content in terms of wiki, you'll find what we've seen before. I'm just including a generic page that knows how to display a blog. Actually, I can edit it just to show you how it looks. And this is a generic page. And again, using velocity to access the content of an object attached to a page and to display it. So we're using some div class here, posted by. So you see, again, we're using the API, for example, to get the local username on the doc creator, formatting the date, and so on. Okay, so this allows us to have this block feature, for example. Sorry. We have, I want to show you just one more, and then we'll go to more advanced things. So this powered by XWiki page, for example, is a small application. It allows users of XWiki, external users, to actually contribute how they're using XWiki. So we've got a table, with the project, organization, how they're using XWiki. And people can just add a new one. So if I want to add a new project here, I just click here. And then I go into a form edition mode, where I can enter information about my project, how I use it. I can even replace the image, and so on. So this is a small application. I'm not going to save it here. So you see we have a few, and if I click on one, then I can view it. What's interesting again is that all of this is just built in pages. So you can do any type of query that you want to display the way you like. You have full control on what you want to display inside the wiki. Now we have one interesting feature also, is the ability to package applications and to import and export applications. So an application is just a set of pages, and we can group them together, export them, so that in your wiki you can actually import external applications, which are a set of pages that do something. Like the blog thing is an application, the search feature is an application, and all of them can be applications. So you can have some kind of admin person, more advanced in terms of scripting, for example, who create applications, and then others can just reuse them, for example. So I'll let now Ludovic come and show you some few things that we've done with this Google Summer of Code that extend XWiki.
So what's really powerful about this approach is that there is nothing actually in XWiki that you cannot do you cannot do without the web interface. Everything can be done through the web interface, defining new classes, defining objects, scripts, presentation. And there is nothing that almost nothing that cannot be done in terms of UI. So you have full control. So you don't have limitations by using such a tool, and you can do everything through the web interface. And the second thing that is really important is that everything is in the same storage concept, a page. And the page is a well-defined object that can be exported many ways. It can be exported in XML. It can be stored in multiple ways. And what this allows is pretty interesting because you can go further than you can, for example, think about replication and things like that, because the entity for everything is pretty simple. And when we talk replication, we're not only talking about replication of the data, we're talking about replication of the application and its logic. So you have a wiki where you actually can modify your application and you could replicate it to another wiki and another user, and that's pretty interesting. So now what I will show is one of the Google Summer of Code projects that were done this year, which is an integration with Google Docs and Google Spreadsheet in particular. Well, we love Google Spreadsheet, and we don't have enough time to actually build a spreadsheet inside XWiki, so what we thought is, well, let's see how we can mash it up and use that together. And so what the objective was is, okay, let's think we have a table in the wiki, and we have a little macro that allows to do some small calculations, but there is nothing like the spreadsheet UI to actually work on your spreadsheet and decide what calculation you want and things like that. So I have this little content. So I actually installed the plugin yesterday on the plain wiki. It's not in the standard distribution, so I installed a few jar files and I activated the plugin, and I get this running. So if I edit this page, what I see is that I have a table, so wiki syntax table, so with 4 lines, and I have a total number, and actually the number says 0 here. And let's forget about that part. It doesn't really matter. If I go back, and I have 2 buttons that were added by the plugin. So this first button is edit. So I will click on edit here. And so there is a security page that will ask us to give rights to transfer data from the XWiki server to the Google account. And we load the data in the spreadsheet. So this is going over the network, and we need to wait a little bit until that happens. We would have loved to do that a little faster, but there are some improvements needed to do that. So then it automatically opens my spreadsheet application, and I get this. Actually, I see that I don't have that anymore, so I have this number, and I can actually say sum of this, and I can insert a new number here, and I can say Italy 200, and I can save and close. Yes.
Just one question, Ludovic. When you granted access, what did you do exactly? Did you just create a new Google document using Gdata, and then you just forwarded you to that document to edit?
Well, when I clicked on that granting button, it transferred data. So the server, the XWiki server, got a token from the granting and used that token to send the XWiki data to an existing spreadsheet. Unfortunately, because of the API, we could not create a new spreadsheet, so we had to have a predefined spreadsheet that we reuse all the time. So spreadsheets need to exist. We cannot create new ones at this point.
I think with Google Data document list API now you can do that.
Well, no, we looked at it and it was Still not possible. I mean, there's some cases. The problem is we can actually do it, we can create it, but it's not available right away unless you go in Spreadsheet. So there was a slight bug about that, so that stopped us from doing that. But I mean, the APIs are pretty new, and it's kind of normal that we're learning through that phase. The thing is, we were able to do the complete process, which is very interesting. But there are improvements to actually put that all in production, if you want that fast on big spreadsheets, for example. So actually, I clicked back when it closed my window, and I clicked back to say reload, and it reloaded the data from the spreadsheet. And I actually see, so here my additional line is here, and I see that I have actually my calculation that is here. And so what we did here is that we not only store the number, but we also store the calculation, the function. So now what's interesting, I can change the number here, 300. I can save. So now what happens is that my total did not change. And so my total is actually wrong here. But I have this little button, FX, and I click, and it will actually automatically go to Spreadsheet to calculate. And this actually doesn't even need a Google account for the user. The Google account is for the server that time. So you have only one Google account, one spreadsheet, and you can do these calculations. You send it to Spreadsheet, you calculate, you get the data back. And so if I wait a little bit, I will have my table come back here, and I have my calculation, which is good again. Now what's interesting is that we can continue a little bit the mashup here, and we can use a feature that we have in XWiki, which is called a chart wizard. And I can actually create a data source. So I can say I want the data source here of this document in the wiki, and I can say I want this data. Choose a table, but not take the whole table, just part of the table. I can tell it to ignore non-digits. That can be useful if you have, for example, financial numbers and you put a $sign or a K sign to count for 100,000. So here I have my data source, then I say next. I can say I want a pie, I want it 3D. I say next. So here I can say financial results, and I can play a little bit around with the colors, changing the color. So there is a whole wizard allowing you to do that. I can just hit finish here, and here what happened is that a macro was inserted in the page, which is editable, but also the macro looked at the table, took the table, transformed it to XML data, and gave it to a Java module to render the chart and make an image and put the image in cache. And this all actually happened in half a second, which is pretty fast. And this is live actually now, so I don't need to actually reuse the chart wizard. I can just change the numbers. Here, 700 or 1500. And I can save. And my 1500 actually shows up on UK here. So this is live data automatically. We can even imagine going further. The route here, we could get the data from the database, generate the wiki table, and call the chart wizard to render that. We can also go in Google Docs, spreadsheet, edit the data, save it, and restore it in the wiki, and the chart will change automatically. So now this is a bit of mashup. What's really interesting about these mashups, and why we're interested in wikis about mashups between data and things like that, is that what we believe is that what's very important is putting data in context. Data without context does not mean anything, and content without context does not mean anything. And that's what wiki have been successful at. Wikis have been very successful at putting data into context. Links, linking them, giving access to content, and linking to another content. And that's really powerful. And if you look at mashups, you can do the same thing with data, and you can do that with the enterprise data, the existing data. Lots of companies have data sitting in ERP or CRM software that nobody actually accesses easily. And once you give a nice way to access that in the wiki, you can have very powerful things happening. So that's the Google Docs. So this actually is pretty simple application in terms of XWiki features. It's mostly plugins and using the chart and these different modules in XWiki. Now, what I want to show is a much more advanced application that is using XWiki feature and that is using an interesting part of XWiki that we haven't talked about, is that the model, the data model, which is the wiki pages, the XWiki pages, which is, as I told before, a very a well-defined model. Well, we gave access to it not only through the scripting API in the wiki pages, but we also gave access to it using Ajax. And we used the Google Web Toolkit for that, and we mapped almost the whole API on our documents using Google Web Toolkit. And this application is actually using that. This application is an RSS reader, which has the objective of being used by companies and groups of people to work together. So it's a collaborative RSS reader. It has not the objective of being a personal RSS reader. Web RSS readers like Google Reader are much better at that. It has the objective of being a collaborative one where you can actually work together on the same content, and where you can tag and mark information. And what's more important is that you can actually diffuse it. You can send the data out once you have found what the interested information is. And for example, you can generate PDFs, emails, or new RSS feeds based on the interesting information. So here what we have is, this is a UI that is loaded inside the wiki. It's a full, everything that is in the box here, from here to here, is a Google Web Toolkit application, fully internationalized. You can actually internationalize it using a wiki page, so you can make a Russian version by translating one wiki page. What's happening is, first we have a feed reader, a feed plugin, which gathers feeds and creates wiki pages out of them. So every single article that is retrieved in using the feeds is one wiki page, and is made accessible through the Google Web Toolkit API. So the Google Web Toolkit API allows you here to look at the different feeds. It allows you here to look at an article. So you can tag the article here, give it an interesting tag, or give it a comment, and the comment will appear. You have tags here. For example, we have recorded every blog citation that the XWiki project gets, or every press citation that it gets. What's interesting is that you can filter. So for example, here I click and I say I want only the articles that have been marked as interesting. And this is shared, so everybody shares the same list. And so in our company, different people come and tag interesting article every day. And what's important there is that we actually is sending it out. So here we can build a press review. So I can say I want to build a PDF, but I can also make an RSS feed. But I can build a PDF here of the interesting articles. So this is actually the same list that we see under here. And so I have that, and then I say next, and I can generate this PDF. And the interesting part is that the PDF is fully generated using a wiki script. So this part is actually not Google Web Toolkit. The PDF is generated by the wiki engine with its PDF capabilities. And we can heavily customize that. So if you want a different PDF look, it's very easy to actually change that. And you can change the script to have a different PDF look. So this is your PDF that shows that. This tool has actually been used in the presidential campaign in France to track everything that was said about one of the candidates and send that out in the different teams. Here we can see that. Oh yeah, we don't see it because we don't have the. Yeah, here we can see that we make a call every few seconds to know if there are new articles that arrived. So that's an Ajax call also. So we can search, of course, in there. We can also do text analysis. So for example, here I can run, so that's using an XWiki plugin. that analyzes text, and it's going to find the most used text in the articles that were marked as interesting. And so that takes a little bit of time to be calculated. That's calculated server-side live, and then showed in the filter. So for example here, of course, we're tracking a lot of things about wikis. So the most important words are wiki, XWiki, and etc. To finish and show, so this is a Google Web Toolkit API that is used. Another application that is using this Google Web Toolkit API is a GWiki project, GWiki.org, which is education. It allows to create educational content and reuse content. So everything is stored in wiki pages, and individual wiki pages can be reused in complete courses. And there is a Google Web Toolkit application that allows to view the course in one tree and have a very easy-to-use interface to manage your complex course, which can be 20 or 30 pages, which can be a big tree of information. Now, the last tool that, yes?
What does the code look like in GWT when you're calling out to XWiki APIs? Do you have a sample?
Do I have a sample? I had that here. I don't think I can access that quickly. Basically, it is get me the list of documents, and it gives you a query.
Okay.
And it gives you a list of document objects, and the document objects have exactly the same API as XWiki. So get object, get property, and
Java API that you're exposing.
well, it's not exactly the same one because you can't actually do exactly the same one. For example, we have one new API which is search documents, but give me all the content in one shot, because you in script basically what we do is give me the list of matching documents, and then for each document I actually ask for the document because that's efficient. In GWT you want to only have one query over the internet, so basically you do, okay, give me the list and give me the actual document. So it's serialized in JSON, and then you have a Java object. The Java object is a little bit different than the Java object that we used on the server side. First, because it doesn't make callbacks. It can't. It's only a data object. It's pure, so it's a POJO. And it also has some helpers. For example, there's stuff that usually we only do when we want. So for example, fabricating a URL of that document in view mode. Okay, what's the URL of that document in view mode? Usually what we do is when you need it, you call that URL, and we will put the HTTP, we'll see what the servlet engine name is, and then we'll add the stuff. Now, in GWT, what we do is that this is pre-generated on the server side and put in the document object, because for the sake of efficiency. But it's pretty similar. So it's get object, get comments number, and things like that. Yeah, it's a little too long to go to code actually here. So the last thing we wanted to show is another Google Summer of Code project, which is an Eclipse plugin. What many people have told us, including in our team, is that well, it's very nice to be able to do everything through the web interface. It's very powerful because we have one server, everybody works off the same server, and we can build an application in very short time. But we lose a little bit of productivity compared to IDEs, especially with IDEs having refactoring and all these features. And opening a web page is a bit long when you're editing code. So what we have been working on is an Eclipse plugin. So you can actually connect to your wiki. So here you just ask it to connect to the wiki. You say this. So it asks you which spaces you want. You just tell that you want all spaces. And then you have your wiki here. So if, for example, my Google Docs page that I was working on here, I can double click on it, and I have the content. And here I can modify it. I just say save, and I can go back here. And if I go back sufficiently, I can reload. And I have 500 instead of 300 that shows up, which is the number I've modified here. What's interesting is that I can actually go offline. So I can tell, okay, get me all that space. So when it's green, it means I have it locally. So I can actually go offline here and log out. So here I'm offline. I can make modification, save. So if I reload here, I don't see the modification. And here, if I synchronize, it's green again, and it has synchronized my application. So that's pretty powerful in terms of time one to edit the content of the wiki. And this is a direction that we will enhance so that we can have code completion, coloring, syntax coloring, especially for the different scripting syntaxes that we have to help out. Just to finish, other things that we're working on in the future is we have two research projects. One of them is we participate in the Nepomuk project, which actually had a tech talk 2 weeks ago here, which is semantic desktop, and aims to bring semantic capabilities to desktop application and also including wikis in the loop. And we're part of that, bringing XWiki and semantic features in the wiki, also bringing the content of the wiki to the semantic application. So what does it exactly mean? It means that if in your pages you add semantic markers to your content, for example, you type a name and you mark it saying that it's a name, the semantic desktop application will be able to index the wiki and extract the information. What's interesting is that XWiki already has a lot of structured data, its object and everything, so a user is well defined in XWiki. So it can provide that right away to the semantic desktop system, provide the structured data, so you don't even need to add the markers on users, you already have the information, so you can mix and match both systems, and the semantic system can include that. So we're part of that project and working on integrating the wiki with that. The second research project that we're working on, so Nepomuk is a European-funded project, and the second project we're working on is a French research project where we are working with INRIA and other labs like Telecom Paris. And what we're doing is peer-to-peer XWiki and mobile access. So the objective is how to give more access to wikis in mobility situations and on when you're on the road. One of the main problems is what we realize in terms of business is that wikis have grown very well in tech teams. And so lots of people say, oh, it's because the wiki syntax is complex. So Wysiwyg is a solution to that. But we put Wysiwyg and it still has a very good inroads in tech teams, still not as much in the other teams. And what you realize when you look at it, you realize that tech teams are not moving that much. They're almost always in the office, always connected. And when they're not connected, they always know how to find a way to connect. Wi-Fi, let me find a Wi-Fi network and everything. What you realize that the sales team, they're always on the road. And they're not connected. And they don't know that much how to connect themselves. And that's actually a big problem for wikis, is that you cannot access that content easily.
So have you thought about integrating with Google Gears for offline capabilities?
Yeah, we thought about it. The thing is, for us, Google Gears doesn't have enough capabilities. What we think is that when you look at the rendering of a page, it's pretty a lot of work, and you would need to do that all in JavaScript to actually use Google Gears, or you need to extend your plugin. What we think is that we need more of the logic. We need more of the logic that the wiki can do on the server side. We need it more on the desktop side. Actually, we can already install an XWiki on the computer. That's what we do here. And since we can replicate, since we have already XML APIs, we're very short from replicating. And this is what the project is about. Well, the project is even more about. It's not even about replication, because if you have a server, it's pretty easy to replicate. What we want is serverless. One of the objectives is complete serverless replication, so peer-to-peer, and that's much more complex, and you need advanced theorists to handle that, to make sure that whatever the merging happens, it's going to give the same result in the end. And this is what INRIA is working about, and they have technology for that. And so we're working on integrating that with XWiki. So basically, one of the main objectives here with serverless is you can even imagine two CEOs of companies sharing a common wiki without even their IT team having access to the content. So they can talk about merging the companies without giving access to everybody in the IT team, because that's what happened with most of the infrastructures, is that you have at least somebody that can access that content in case of a problem. And well, the best way to not giving access is only keeping it on the computers of the people that should have access to it. And this is what serverless replication could do, for example.
Yeah, so basically you're moving from a Lotus-like model of replication to group networks that they were doing peer-to-peer replication.
Yeah, we're going to mix both. I mean, it's not because we can do serverless that we will always do serverless. It's of course when it's easier, you can actually keep it with a central server. So we want to be able to do a bit of all the systems. So I think that's about all. So if there is any other questions. Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for hosting us.